Hello, everybody. Hope you guys can see and hear me okay. Let me go over to the comment section and stuff. Yeah, okay, guys. So, what are we going to be talking about today? Yeah, and today is Friday the 13th. So, hopefully, we don't have any technical difficulties because you know how it is. On Fridays the 13th, everything goes wrong. Okay. I hope you guys can see me because I only put one of the lightings on, but and it's okay. All right. So, what we're going to be talking about this Friday. Well, I decided, you know what? I said, let me talk about pricing because I had about three folks that reached out to me asking me advice on how they should price certain items, right? So I figured let me go ahead and do a video because I have did one in the past, but it was a while ago, okay? And one of the things that I talked about was creating a actual embroidery price sheet. So I thought this would be a good way for us to talk about how you can create your own embroidery price sheet. Okay. So just so you guys know, this is mine. Okay. I have it actually laminated. I know you probably can't see it because of the glare. Okay. It's just something that I kind of use as kind of quick and easy. And I wanted to run down this sheet with you guys to give you guys an idea of the things that you need to be thinking about, or you can start calculating so that when you start to quote prices for your items, you don't shortchange yourself. Okay. So this is like something that is really, really important because one of the things that I noticed, and you guys have heard me say this in the past, is that a lot of times we kind of like screw ourselves over because we don't price out items correctly. So what ends up happening is the customer gets like a really cool price and then you feel like crap at the end because you know you didn't price your item right. You did a lot of work and you really didn't get what you kind of thought you're supposed to get, okay? So first things first, one of the things that I'm going to tell you guys, because I know the holidays are coming up, and if you guys do embroidery, if you're doing for gifts, that's great. You know, you're not going to really care about the pricing, but you best believe that when someone knows that you do embroidery, it is really a highly sought after skill set. So chances are that when friends and family and people you know find out that you do embroidery, a lot of times people are going to reach out to you and they're going to ask you to do embroidery for them. So sometimes, not that you want to get into the business per se, okay, but sometimes you do end up becoming in a situation where you kind of indirectly kind of created your own little business on the side and you just didn't even know it, okay? But you're going to have to price your items correctly because what ends up happening is if you don't price your items correctly and you underprice, people know that. People are going to know that. They're going to take advantage of you. So, you know, you got to make sure that you know what you're doing when someone asks you to do something for them and you have to create a price. Okay. Now, the first thing that I have said this in the past, I'm going to say it again. Okay. When a customer or someone that you just know comes to you and asks you to do some type of embroidery, the first thing they're going to want to do is first they're going to say, hey, can you embroider something for me? And then right away, they're going to give you the magic question. How much is it? Okay. I always tell people, you never, and I don't know how I can stress this. I should have made a sign, okay, that says never, you never give a price right away. And I'm going to tell you why, okay? First of all, embroidery is very custom work, okay? No two jobs are usually the same unless you are reselling the same product. Then, right there, when you create a particular product that you're going to be selling over and over again, you already have a basic idea of the materials you're going to use, the stitch count, and everything like that. Okay. So, in those type of items, you create that price, and every time you sell, that price is going to be the same. However, though, when you have customers that come to you for embroidery, a lot of times it's custom work. Okay. Sometimes what they want you to do is embroider towels. Sometimes they want you to embroider blankets. Sometimes it's jackets. Hi, Mello. Sometimes it's polo shirts. There's a whole bunch of different things, hats and stuff. And a lot of times, sometimes they want their company logo on it, or they want some type of personalization on it. And, dinner napkins with their own initials on it. All of it is custom. Okay. No two customers are going to come to you for the same product. They may want maybe the same thing. They'll say, oh, I want that blanket too, and I want you to embroider a name too. But chances are that the name you embroidered in one blanket is going to be very different from the name on the other. Now, what I'm talking about in that situation is you can have a name called Sam, which is only 3 letters, all right? And then someone can come to you with a name Elizabeth that has more than 3 letters. It's a very long name. Or someone like my name, Jeanette, which has 8 letters. Okay. So the longer the name, the more the stitches, the longer it takes to embroider. So, there are always going to be different prices for different products. Okay. So, with that being said, I strongly recommend that the last thing you want to do is, as soon as someone asks you, can you do an order for me? You can come out and say, yeah, when do you need it by? And then when they say, this is what I want, then go, okay, let me get back to you and I'll tell you how much it's going to cost. That's all you have to tell them. Okay. That gives you the time that you need for you to do the proper research of what it is, the equipment, the types of stabilizers, if toppers needed, the type of design, any type of digitizing. You get all of that stuff together before you go ahead and you give that customer a price. Okay. Don't give them a price right away, because trust me, you're going to end up pissed off at yourself, because what's going to happen is most likely you will undercharge, and then you're just going to feel good at the end. Okay. So, with that being said, okay, I'm telling you, if you guys are taking notes, that is the first thing that I would put on top of that piece of paper. Highlight that sucker, circle it, and whatever. You don't give an estimate right away. Okay. You let them know that you will get back to them, and then you do your research. Okay. Now, let's talk about this embroidery sheet that I have, and I'm going to break down some of the things that you need to create on your sheet and how you're going to price them. All right. That way, you know exactly what you should be charging. Now, this price sheet that I'm going to be talking to you with, helping you guys develop, it is not the sheet that you share with your customers. This is an informational sheet for you, the embroiderer. Okay. The reason why you want to have this sheet is so that when you get an order and you have to write down all the materials and stuff that you need in order to finish that project, okay, you have how much it's going to cost overall. Okay. And it's going to help you to decide what is the price you're going to charge them. All right. So let's talk about, first thing I have. I'm going to go down my sheet, and I'm going to even share with you guys how I actually break down the pricing as well. Okay. Now, let's talk about digitizing. Now, first of all, you have to get the item digitized, right? Now, let's say they have a custom logo or something like that, and then you have to, or a design, you're going to have to get that digitized. The cost of the digitizing the file is not something that you eat up, okay? You're going to incorporate that in the price, all right? So, a lot of times, if it's only one item that they want, then what you do is you let them know up front that you have to get that item digitized, and there's going to be a fee for that for that item. Okay. You just let them know right up front. Now, one of the things you can do is, what I usually do is I will get a copy of that image and I will send it over to my digitizer. Now, sometimes digitizers, well, not sometimes, all the time, okay? Just like we have to price our embroidery and our embroidery items, okay? You know how it's custom because everything is different. Digitizers work the same way, okay? More complex sometimes your design is. Sometimes, depending on the digitizer you use, they may end up charging you a little more. Sometimes what happens if you have a file, and let's say somebody wants it on the back of a jacket and it's very, very huge, what's going to end up happening is that's going to cost more because that's a lot more stitches they have to implement in the design. All right. Sometimes you can have a digitizer that sometimes they have standard prices. You know, it all depends. Every digitizer is different, just like every embroiderer is different when it comes to pricing their items. All right. So, but you want to find out up front how much is that file going to cost, okay, in order to get it digitized. A lot of times, sometimes what happens is when something has to get digitized, sometimes the embroiderer themselves will add an extra fee to the digitizing cost. Now, there's a reason for this, okay? And for those customers out there that are watching that want to learn, I think this is a great video for you guys to watch because that way you get an understanding of all the things that someone has to think about when they're pricing their items. So that way you as a customer can kind of appreciate, and sometimes, because sometimes customers will come out and say, oh my God, that's a lot, that's expensive. But customers sometimes don't understand the process and all the stuff that it entails. Okay. Now, when I get something that's digitized, I usually not only do I have my okay, I take the file, I give it to my digitizer, they go ahead, they digitize it, they send it to me. When they send it to me, I do something called a test stitch file, which means that I take the file from the digitizer and I put it on a piece of fabric and then I test stitch it. Okay. Now, there's two reasons why I do this. Okay. The first reason is because I want to make sure that when I receive that digitized file from the digitizer, that it is stitching out correctly. The second reason I do this is because that when I am done stitching out the file, I use that as a sample. Okay, I take a picture of it and I sent it over to my customer just so that they know what it actually looks like. That way, if they need to make any type of modifications to the design, we can go ahead and start making the modifications. Okay, and I will work with the digitizer to get that done. Now, they do not get to keep the sample. Okay, that is a sample that I usually add to my portfolio for other customers. Okay, but it tells it, it kind of shows the customer, first of all, it gives them a view of what it's actually going to look like. And at the same time, it kind of helps the customer to know you can get that job done. Okay. Because if the stitch test stitch file looks good, chances are when you go ahead and you start embroidering that item, it's going to look just as good too, and they're going to be happy. Okay. So because I have to do a test stitch, all right, I usually add a cost above what I pay for my digitized files. Now, do I add that cost to the actual product? Okay. If the customer is coming to me and they have a logo, right? And the logo, they're going to have me embroider it on, let's say 10, 15, 20 shirts. Usually what I do is I do incorporate the cost of that logo in the actual order. Okay. But I do mark it down in my notebook as to how much that digitized file costs. And I also add like a $5 fee on top of that. Okay. So just something to put down in your notes about, when, the cost of digitizing. If it is an order of only one item, okay, then what I do is I tell the customer up front that I have to get the item digitized and this is how much it's going to cost. Okay. And also how much it's going to actually embroider, I'll have to let them know. Now, usually what I will do is I will take that file, send it to my digitizer, and I tell them to give me a cost estimate. Okay. Digitizers can do that. They can come out and say, okay, Jeanette, to do this file is going to be $20. And then at the same time, I ask them, how many stitches do you think it'll be inside that digitized? Sometimes they can tell you, sometimes they can't. Okay. But if they do tell you, you already have a mindset of, okay, it's 10,000 stitches. All right. So I usually charge about like $2 per thousand or something like that. You start doing the math. Okay. Now, the big thing for me is the time. all right? But usually what I'll do is I will add an extra $10, okay, to the actual cost, but I will let the customer know that it may be a little less depending on the final stitch time, okay? Which I will know once the actual design, after I get the test stitch done, okay? So if I tell the customer right then and there and I say, hey, it's $25 to get it digitized, and it's probably going to cost $30 to actually get it embroidered. Okay. So the whole price of that would probably be like, I don't know, the worst case scenario would be $60. Usually, what I will do in that case is I will actually bill the customer the $60. Okay. And when they pay me in full, okay, and notice how I say they pay me first, when they pay me in full, okay, then I will go ahead and I will order the item, the file to get digitized. I do the test stitch, and then I do the embroidery for the customer. If I see that I felt I overcharged, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll refund the difference to the customer. Okay, I prefer to overcharge than for me to undercharge, okay, because it makes it easier for you to collect that money, because you don't want to come out and tell the customer, oh, it's $15, and then you find out you should have actually like um charged 30. Okay, you're not going to come out and say, hey, it's this much money, and then you know oh boy, hold on. Okay, got had to get somebody out of there. Okay, so sorry guys. All right, so Um, okay, I lost my save because I saw a comment in there that I thought was not appropriate. So I took it out. All right, so sorry guys. So the thing is, it's collect the money up front, okay, and then and then when if you see that you should have charged less, then you come out and you can refund the money. Customers actually like that a lot better, okay, because the thing is, this is two things, okay. First of all, it tells the customer you're an honest person, okay. It really does. It tells it tells the customer, oh, she actually gave me back the money. Okay. Because you know what? Honestly, sometimes customers don't know. Okay. The other thing also is sometimes what happens is that, you know, you also protect yourself. Okay. You're making sure that you're getting paid what you should be getting paid. All right. So that's something that you want to keep tabs on. Okay. And stuff. So I wanted to talk about digitizing because I really feel that that's important, because a lot of times with embroidery, you're going to have to sometimes get a file digitized. All right. So I wanted to really share that with you. Okay. So now let's talk about the materials and how I actually price the materials. All right. Let's talk about stabilizers. All right. Now, when you go and you buy stabilizer, usually I kind of buy them in little packs. Okay. And I'm going to show you the kind of packs that I kind of like buy them in. Sometimes they're pre-cut, sometimes they're not. Okay. So this is a pack that's already pre-cut, and usually what I do for each of my stabilizers, I put it on my list, okay, and I'll put down and say, hey, this is a pack of stabilizers, they're 8x8, they're tearaway, and I paid $12.99 for it. Okay, they're probably a lot more now, but anyway, but let's just put a price, $12.99, and you get 100 of these in here. So usually what I will do is I will take my calculator, okay, and I got my little rusty calculator here, and I'll put $12.99, and then I'll divide that by 100, and then right away I know that each of these sheets, each sheet that I have in here costs 13 cents. Okay, so what you want to do is on your price sheet, put down the stabilizers that you have, each of them, list them down, okay? Put down how much you paid for that pack, okay? How many come in that pack, and do the math so that you know how much each of these sheets cost, okay? The reason why you want to do this is, let's say a customer comes to you and they have a polo shirt, it's a little bit on the thin side. You might have to double up on the sheet of the stabilizer. Well, if each of these sheets cost me 13 cents, then that means if I have to double up on the sheets, every time I embroider a shirt, I already spent 26 cents in my stabilizer. Okay? Just saying, okay? So I will write that down on my estimate sheet. Okay? So this is another thing too. For every project that you get, take a piece of paper and write down the cost of everything that you're doing to finish that project. Okay? Write down all the materials, the cost of the digitizing and all that kind of stuff. Okay? The reason why is because you want to make sure that when you price that item, you are covering all the materials that are included in order for you to finish that project. Okay? Just something to think about. Now, let's talk about the stitching. And this is where the stitch count comes in. Okay? Some people bother with the stitch count, some people bother with the time. What I say is calculate both. Doesn't mean you have to price them both together, but you want to calculate both. All right. So let's say, like, some people a long time ago, okay, and this was before the thread prices went up. A lot of people used to say, oh, charge a dollar per thousand. You can do that if you want to, because remember, pricing is on you, okay? How much you want to charge for your items, okay? So it depends. All right. Now I usually do $1.50 to $2 per thousand stitches. Okay. And it's just to estimate to get an idea of the cost. I'm more concerned about time. Okay. So, but just write it down anyway. So the other thing also is sometimes people will come out and they will charge for every different color. Okay. I don't do that because I do have multi-needle machines, so I don't have to like sit there and babysit the machine all the time. But if you do have a single needle machine, you may want to give that a consideration of charging per color change. Sometimes people will put in a quarter, maybe they'll put 15 cents or something like that, but it just depends. All right. Also, sometimes if you're doing applique, okay, remember, applique uses different types of color fabrics. People charge for that. Okay, so it's not just the design, they look to see how many different types of fabric do they have to add to that design of the applique. So you may want to consider that as well and add a little charge for that. Sometimes people put just a little bit. They don't put a whole lot. You don't put like $5 for the fabric. You just put like 10 cents, 15 cents, whatever you want. Just put a little number in there for you. Okay. Heat vinyl transfer. Like sometimes people like to use the heat vinyl transfer with the glitter. You may want to put a cost associated with that as well. Okay. So, also like tender touch as well. Okay. You want to make sure that you put pricing on tender touch and everything like that. I'm going down my whole list. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to create like a little master sheet like this. And you want to think of all the items that you use. Okay. Like whenever you're working on an embroidery project, break it down. Okay. Just break it down. Just go through all the steps and know that every time you touch one of these, it's money. Every time you run that machine with the thread, that's money that's coming out of your pocket too. Every time you use topper, that's money. The machine itself is money. Okay, the electricity and all that kind of stuff. You don't have to go that much in detail, but I just want to emphasize to you that you're not doing this for free. Okay, you want to make sure that whatever price you are putting out there, that it's money that's going to come back into your pocket. All I'm trying to say, okay? Now, another thing too, all right? Let's talk about hooping, okay? And I know I might be going a little fast. It's just that this goes on both sides, so I want to make sure I cover it for all you guys, okay? Some people charge for hooping, some people don't. I don't charge for hooping. Some people will do like a hat hooping fee. I could understand the hats because it is a little complicated to embroider, whether you're embroidering it on a single needle or a multi-needle. Okay. It does take time. And some people do, you know, for shirts and towels, sometimes they add a little hooping fee too. Okay, not much, but something. Okay. Now, another thing that I want to emphasize here. Okay, when I am talking about color changes, the hooping fee, if you really think about it, those are processes of embroidery where you are actually it's time consuming. Okay, so remember, you want to include the cost of your time, right? So one of the things that I tell people is put down how much you want to make per hour. Okay. And then what you can do is you can say, okay, like let's say I'm charging $50 an hour. That's how much I'm worth. Okay. So that means that for every half hour that I'm working on that project, it's going to be like 25 bucks. And then divide that by by half. What is that, like $12.50 every 15 minutes, something like that. So just something to think about also. So just make sure that put down an hourly rate, okay, and then break it down per hour, half hour, and every 15 minutes, okay. And that's going to help you with making sure that you calculate in there some kind, a time fee for all your services, okay. And I usually use that instead of going, hey, this is how much it's going to cost for hooping, this is how much it's going to cost for a color change and all that kind of stuff. I kind of, like, me personally, what I do is I kind of look at how long is that item going to be on the machine, how long is how much is the digitizing, um you know uh cutaway stabilizer, if I'm using double or not, and how the quantity of how much the customer wants to get done. And usually I will add everything up. A lot of times what happens is when you start adding up all your costs, when you write this down, you start adding it, you're going to see it's going to be a little bit high. That's when you can come out and you can look at it and then go, okay, what's a real reasonable cost? And you can cut down a little bit on it and stuff like that. But the thing is, you cut down at a place where you don't feel that you got robbed, okay? And stuff. So just something I want to talk about. Okay. The other thing too, blanks and materials. You know how much you pay for your blanks. You know how much those shirts cost. You know how much those bags cost. And those are items that you're selling. Okay. Sometimes I have a lot of customers that when they come in, they bring their own personal items. And when they bring all their personal items, I got to be honest with you, I kind of prefer that for the simple fact that I don't have blanks sitting around here. Okay. So I prefer that the customer brings me their stuff as long as they can tell me where they bought it, just in case I mess it up, then I'll go and I'll replace it. Okay. But I prefer to just charge for my service. Okay. Because I feel that that is more lucrative. I'm not going around worrying about buying all these different shirts and having a whole bunch of shirts in here and all that kind of stuff. I do have like a bunch of towels and dinner napkins and stuff and baby blankets, because those are really the things that I like selling a lot. But when it comes to dealing with my local customers and stuff, and they need something embroidered, they bring in the items to me, and then I prefer to work on their items. That way, all I have to do is worry about the digitizing the file, how many stitches, and what is the time that it's going to take for me to embroider the item. Now, if it is an item that is very difficult to hoop or something like that, I do kind of up the fee a little bit, because sometimes it can be an item like that's real thick material. Sometimes it could be a book bag where I actually have to hold it, okay, because of the weight and stuff, and I have to babysit it and everything. In those situations, I will add a little extra fee in it. If I see that it is a really big embroidery file, of course, I make sure that I come, I get charged for the whole time, okay? Because there have been times when I've had people with bath towels and blankets, and they want like their names on it, but the thing is they want the names big, right? So when they want the names big, what ends up happening is you're embroidering for a very long time. So I have to make sure that I compensate for all of that. So it's just something to always think about. Okay. So make sure that you know how much you spent on your blanks. So if you're providing the blanks to the customer, make sure that you are including the price for the blanks because you're not buying those blanks for them for free. So just want to make sure that you got that. Okay. So those are the type of things, if you are providing the service, that you really need to be thinking about when you are calculating your price. Okay. Now, when we're talking about the thread count, okay, there's something that I want to emphasize with you guys. Sometimes people say, well, how do you know how to charge for the thread? Now, of course, you know, the threads come in combs, right? So when you are doing that stitch count, that's kind of like you charging for the amount of thread that's being used. All right. So, because someone had asked me that, and I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned that here. Okay. Now, uh let's talk about when you are actually like pricing your items that you sell online. All right. When you are selling online, you have a lot of transaction fees, you have a lot of listing fees, you got shipping fees that you have to consider. Make sure that you think about that and that you incorporate it in your price so that when you sell those items online and you see that those fees start coming off of the money that you collected, it doesn't hurt you that much because you already counted all that in there with the price. All right. The other thing that a lot of times people forget to include when they're pricing their items is the actual shipping supplies themselves. You have to actually bag your item and you need to put them in either boxes or shipping bags and stuff like that. Those things cost money. They're not free. Okay. You went out and you bought those things. So you want to make sure that you're thinking about how much each one of those shipping bags cost you and how much those packaging bags cost you and everything. They're not free. They cost money. Okay. I mean, I understand that, like, for me, my shipping bags are like 13 cents a bag. It's not a lot. But the thing is, you want to be aware of how much you're spending for your supplies for each item that you sell. Okay. Sometimes I have my labels, okay, your shipping labels that cost money too. All right. Mine only cost, I buy a box for $19.99 for 500 of them, which means that for every label that I print out, it's 4 cents. Okay. It may not seem a lot to you right now, but when are looking at, you know, when you're creating a lot of labels and all that kind of stuff, those 4 cents start adding up. Okay. So you want to make sure that you're not underpricing anything. Okay. Now, let me see. I talked about the time. Okay. Let's see other factors that you have to think about, which to me is really hard for you to put a price on that I have here, is your machine maintenance. You know how much your machine costs and everything. You know how much you spend on maintenance and everything. Electricity, your space, how much you advertising, but that's more on the shop end. Okay. The cost of creating your samples and stuff like that, but you kind of put those costs a little bit on the customer, but not as much. But those are just costs that you're going to incur because you have a business. Okay. You got to make sure you pay your taxes and stuff like that. Remember, Uncle Sam be coming after you if you don't. Okay. Travel costs to meet customers, to deliver products and all that kind of stuff. I even have that in there. Research and development budget. Make sure you have one of those on the side. But yeah, so I kind of went through this really quick, didn't I? I sure did, in like a half hour. And I think I talked really, really fast. Okay, so all right, so I'm gonna go down the chat, okay, because I know I went through this really, really quickly, okay, but I really wanted to, and let me look around here also and see if there is anything else that I did not mention. No, I think I mentioned everything. I think I did. I think I really did. And stuff. The big thing to me is that people do forget to price out their stabilizers and stuff like that. So, yeah. So, but I hope this helps. I really do hope it helps because I do get a lot of folks that come out to me and say, hey, what do you charge for embroidery? And this is another thing too that you have to be conscientious about. The there's different types of every state has its own different cost of living, right? I live in the Washington D.C. area, and here things are pretty priced kind of high. So it would probably be higher than someone that maybe lives in Idaho or Ohio, or the prices might be a little different in Texas. California is very high. The cost of living is very high in California. So depending on where you live, also that will help you determine some prices as well. Okay, my whole big thing is that you want to make sure that when you are pricing your items, you are actually covering at the very least. And I don't even want to say the least with this, okay? Because the thing is, that means that you kind of really did it for free, okay? Because you didn't cover any of your time, okay? But the last thing you want to do is to give out a price where you didn't pay yourself and you took a loss because you didn't even cover the cost of all the materials that you used to create that order. Okay. That is really, really important, because if you price that low where you're not even covering the cost of the materials that you're using, you're in trouble. You are in real, real trouble. You might as well shut the doors of that business and just tell people, hey, come on over. I'll do this for free. That's what you might as well tell them. Okay. Seriously, guys. So, embroidery is a lot of work. It is not something that, is easy to do, even though a lot of people have the perception that you just go ahead and you turn on this machine and all this beautiful stitching just happens. It doesn't work that way. There's a lot of coordination. There's a lot of pre-planning that takes place. Okay. And you have to make sure that you're getting paid for all of this. All right. That you are getting paid for the time. And it is a skill set. It really is. A lot of times people like to say, oh, it's a cute little hobby. Well, no, for me, it's not a hobby. It's an actual skill set, because I'm serious about my business. Okay. I really am. There is nothing that leaves here that is not top notch. Okay. If I don't like it and I find that the stitching is not of good quality or anything like that, it gets done again. It does not leave here, because it will mess up my reputation. And that is one thing that I really stress, especially for those of you guys that are wanting to do a business in embroidery. If you don't really care about the quality of the items that come out of your shop, you're going to have issues with your business. You truly, truly are. Okay. And this is the other thing too. If you want to make sure that you get the price that you're demanding, you got to make sure that your stuff is top notch. Okay. You can't come out and ask for top notch money and your stuff is coming out all shabby. It's not going to work. Okay, you're going to have issues and stuff like that. That's why for me, I have absolutely no problem telling people this is, after I look at everything, I gather all the requirements. I always tell the customer, I will not give you a price up front. Now, there is another thing that I do want to share with you guys that I do have that I did not mention earlier. I do have a minimum. Okay. My minimum is $15. Okay. $15. And that's usually done for items that are really small, simple. Maybe they want an initial, two initials, the monograms, with the initials and stuff like that, or, just one letter. It's a very simple stitch. Then I'll be like, okay, $15 for the item. That's my minimum. And the reason why I say that is because usually those are projects that I can stitch it out within maybe like, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 minutes the most. And usually what it is just a small item and I can hoop it pretty quickly. It just uses simple stabilizer. It's a small design. And all it is just stick it in the machines. I can stitch it out and then just clean it up, fold it up, and have the customer pick it up within like a couple of minutes and stuff like that. So, but my minimum charge would be $15. You need to have a minimum charge. Okay. I don't turn on that machine for anything less than 15. And let me tell you, people have tried. Okay, like I'll come out and say, okay, it will be $15. They go, well, I can give you 10. Well, you can go find somebody else that'll take 10. This place is $15. I don't mess around with my prices. Guys, I tell you, I do not do it. That's why, I mean, it's people that have dealt with me in the past, they know me. They know the negotiation is not there. I know my prices are fair. I know the quality of my work. I'm very confident. There is just I'm not selling my soul for somebody to try to, jip me or whatever. It's just not gonna happen. It's just forget about it. Just don't even call me then. So you don't want to have the discussion. You really don't, because I am not shy to come on and tell people no. I just say no. That's it. Really, honestly, guys, I can't stress that enough. If you are really good at what you do and you know exactly what you're doing and how there is absolutely no reason why you should be lowballing yourself. Do not do it. Don't do it. I'm telling you, you will not have a good feeling. To me, it's all about self-respect too. Okay, it's your confidence and your self-respect. You know what you're doing and everything. You're confident. Just do your thing. Do your thing. Don't worry about it. Not. I tell people that all the time. Not every order is a good order. Not every customer is a great customer. Okay. Sometimes it's best to say no and not be stressed. Okay. Because no, I do this because I enjoy it. I do this because I know I'm good and I like doing it. I'm not going to let somebody come in and run my business for me. This is my business, not theirs. That's just how I see it. Okay. So make sure that you are pricing your stuff accordingly. Okay. Make sure. Now, once you have everything jot down, right? You know what the customer wants. You already know how much it's going to cost digitizing. You already know how much it's going to cost in time. You know how many color changes, how much stabilizer you're going to use, and all that kind of stuff. Then what you do is add it all up. When you add it all up, look at that number and then you ask yourself, is that a fair price for what they're asking for? Okay. And then there is where you can make the adjustment of whether you want to lower it or you need to make it higher. A lot of times in those situations, sometimes if it is a high number, okay, I don't know if it's quantity, a high quantity, okay, like a bulk item, sometimes I will go ahead and maybe I'll lower the price, maybe $3 or $4 per item. Okay. If I see that it is the logo and that the shirt is like really thin and I have to double up the stabilizer, there are times when I have to slow down the machine, because if I have the machine go at a fast pace, then it could maybe skip a stitch, or the stitching is not going to look neat. It's not going to look clear. So I don't like to rush my items because, like I said, everything that comes out of here has to come out of good quality. I like my customers knowing that I do good work. So I look at all that when I price my items. Okay. There have been times when I will charge $30 to $40 a polo shirt for me to embroider. The reason is because there is a very dense design. I have to slow down that machine. Sometimes that design has to be split. Some of the threads in that design, I use 40 weight thread, and some of it I use 60 weight thread. Sometimes I have to use different types of needle for different colors, okay, different sizes of needles. I have to use a 65-9 and maybe a 75-11. And because of all of that, because it is a little complicated and I have to slow down the machine and all that kind of stuff, I will charge more for those items, okay? But the thing is, my customers don't mind because they know that they get a very good quality product at the end. Okay, so you have to make sure that you incorporate all that when you're giving that estimate to the customer, okay? So just understand that, all right? So let me go down the chat because I want to make sure that I answer any questions for anybody that is out there. Okay, hey Maureen, how you doing? Mello's doing good. Hey Brenda, post your question on the Facebook page, and I'm sure we will get an answer for you. Let me see. Hey Miss Max, hey Crafty, Trisha, how you doing? Hey Susan, hey Jackie, hey Karen, how you doing? Hey Marlene, how are you? Hey Judy, Kathy, Karen. Oh, yes. Thank you, Karen, for reminding me. I hope you guys like the information that I gave you. And please, please, please hit the thumbs up button. I see we got 108 people watching, and I only got 46 thumbs up. Come on, come on. I'm sharing information because it does help the channel a lot. It really, really does. And I really I want to keep doing this, you know what I'm saying? Because I really love sharing information with you guys. So please give me that thumbs up if you can. I appreciate that because it does help the channel. It's hey Robin, how you doing? Hey Unbiased, how are you? Hey and Evelyn, how you doing? Jackie, hey Blanca. And if you guys have questions, okay, about some of the things that I mentioned, please put it in the chat and I will answer them for you. Okay, I can help you guys out and stuff. And I am going to make the announcement also about the gift exchange too. So don't let me forget that. Okay. And I should have said it in the beginning, but I just jumped right into the topic and stuff because I know that Embroidery Happy Hour, as you guys know, I like to give the topic the first hour and then the rest of it, I like to chit chat with you guys and answer questions and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's Embroidery Happy Hour. Hey Debbie, hey Val. Hey Tammy, how you doing? Hey Sylvia, how are you? Hey C McGee, how you doing? Hey Eartha. Anita, I don't see no questions out there about pricing. I hope you guys are good. Okay. Seriously, if you have questions, ask. Hey Denise. Hey Denise S. She's at her SSK training. Oh God, you got my dream machine. I've been looking at those machines. Those machines are made in Germany, if I'm not mistaken. They're very, very good machines. Hey baby giant, how are you? I must remember that. Yes, never. I'm Karen. I'm serious. Okay. When I say I am really, really serious. Okay. This is what happens. Okay. And I know what I know you're referring to first thing I told you guys in the very beginning. When people come to you and they say, I know how the conversations goes. I had them so many freaking times. Okay. People will come up to you and go, oh my God, I want to get this embroidered and stuff. And this is what I want to do. How much do you charge? That's that's like the first thing, just rolls out of their tongue. How much do you charge? Okay. Meanwhile, you don't even know, like, oh, I want to name on a blanket stuff. How much do you charge? Meanwhile, I don't even know what type of blanket you're talking about. Because think about this, guys. Okay. This is so that you guys can understand. Okay. All they said, the lady comes out to you and says, oh, I want to get a name embroidered on a blanket. How much do you charge? So just that. Think about it. You don't even know the type of the blanket that lady is talking about. Is it a down blanket where it's double layered? If it's double layered, that's very difficult for you to hoop because you don't want those fabrics shifting. Okay. Is it a puffy blanket? If it's a puffy blanket, you're going to need topper. And then depending on how long the top fibers are of the material, you may need knockdown stitches. And if you need knockdown stitches, then that means that your stitch count is going to be high and it's going to take a longer time to stitch, right? Okay. Then you don't know how big they want that name to be on the blanket. Because we could be talking a half an inch, an inch, inch and a half, 2 inches, 2.5 inches, 3 inches. You don't know how big it is, right? The bigger the name, the more the stitches, the longer it is, right? You don't know if they want different colors on different letters. There's a lot of things you don't know, right? So that's why I say you never, ever, ever, Karen, don't do it. Guys, don't do it. I'm serious. You never give a cost right off the bat. You just don't do it. Because let's say, you know how I have my minimum, $15, right? That's the minimum. So let's say that lady comes to me and says that, and I say, oh, yeah, it would just be $15, right? Okay. Now she shows up, and she shows up with a blanket that has very tall fibers on the top, like a bath towel. So I'm looking at it, and then I go, well, what name do you want on it? Let's say she picks the name Elizabeth. Elizabeth's a long name. And, oh, I don't want a small font. I want a big font. And I'm like, okay. I already told her $15, right? So that means I have to pick a big font, and it's a long name. I have to add knockdown stitches. I'm gonna have to put a topper on, okay? And depending on the blanket, if the blanket is thick, one sheet of stabilizer. If it's a very thin blanket, it may be 2 sheets of stabilizer. And then because the name is so long, let's say it takes a whole hour for me to embroider that machine. I mean, to embroider the blanket on the machine. So all that. So that means that I added knockdown stitches. It took an hour. And all I got was $15 for that. Might as well did it for free. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I say you never, never give a price from the very beginning. You always come on and say, yeah, is this something that you can do? Yeah, I can do that. I can do that. Well, how much does it cost? Well, it's going to depend on a lot of things. Just let the customer know. It depends on a lot of things. The file, the stitch count, the file, the design of the file, the type of material that you're using. I'm going to need to collect more information from you, and I'm going to need some time so I can do the calculations to let you know how much it's going to cost. That's all you have to say. You just need some time. You're going to need all the information. And then right then and there, that's when you gather all the information from the customer. And that's when you go ahead and you can take your embroidery software, you put down the name, you add the knockdown stitches. You can look right at the bottom. It'll tell you how many stitches are there. That gives you an indication a little bit of how long it might take you. And then also, you have during the conversation of you getting that information, you ask the customer, well, what kind of a blanket are we talking about? I mean, do you have a picture of the blanket? Or, are you ordering this blanket from Amazon? Do you have the link of the blanket? Or do you have it with you? Can I take a look at it? That way you have an idea of what type of material you're embroidering on. Is the blanket real thick? Are you going to be able to hoop that? There's just so many things. Is it an easy hoop? Is it a hard hoop? Colors. Okay, let's say the customer wants a color that you don't even have in stock. You got to order that color. There's so many things you got to think about. There's just so many. That's why, please, 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 people do that mistake all the time. And then what ends up happening is because you blurted out a price from the very beginning, you're stuck. Because then it's not good. So always right off the bat, and then this is the other thing too. Okay, and I ain't even talk. We did not even talk about rush orders yet. So let's say somebody comes to you and says, hey, I have something that needs to get fixed, and I need it within like tomorrow. You could charge a rush order fee for that, especially if you already got orders on there. because this is how I see it. You're asking me if you could skip the line. That's what you're doing. You're coming to me and you're saying, I'm telling you, I already have a lot of orders and stuff like that. And you're saying you want to come in here and skip the line. Well, you can skip the line for some, but it's going to cost you. Okay. And the thing is, too, is when I allow people to skip the line, a lot of times what you're doing is you're just putting I'm just working longer hours, because this is the thing. I'm not going to tell my other customers that their stuff is late just because someone else wanted to skip their line. That's not right. Okay. So usually what I'll do is I'll come and say, okay, so instead of going to bed at 10 o'clock, I guess I'll be going to bed at 12. That's how I see it. You know what I'm saying? That means that I'm just going to have to work a longer day just so I could squeeze that order in. But you know what? Because I'm working a longer day, that's going to cost something. you know and sometimes customers, they really are in a bind, and they really, it's a last minute gift, and they have to get it out, and they will pay the rush fee. They will pay that. Okay. But you just got to be very upfront about it and just let people know. You know what I'm saying? If I don't have anything going on, then I don't even bother with the rush fee. I'll go, oh yeah, I'm good. Bring it over. Don't worry. I got you. And then I'll be like, what is it that you need? And then I'll tell them how much it is. You know what I'm saying? And I won't add a rush order fee. However, though, if it's like, I got to change my legs here. If it's something that's like during Christmas holiday, I mean, my machines are nonstop, especially during the holidays. Christmas, Mother's Day, Father's Day. I'm like, this thing always on. Okay. But there is a rush fee for that. But if I'm not busy and I'm caught up on my orders and stuff like that, and someone local comes out and goes, hey, I need something done, whatever, I'll just get all the information and create the estimate, and I don't even bother with the rush fee. It just depends on if I'm busy. That's how I roll and stuff like that. But yeah. um Yes, Iris. Mello is doing really good. For you guys that don't know, my Mello was a little sick. I don't know what he came down with and stuff, but he was vomiting and everything. So he had X-rays and he had his ultrasound done, and ultrasound came back very, very healthy. But as you can see, he is lazy as always. Here he is, Mello. Mello, everybody wants to say hi. Mello, you alive? Mello, Mello. Okay. All right. So I guess Mello doesn't want to. Mello, are you okay? Mello. Mello. Oh, Mello. Oh, okay. He moved. Look, guys, he's he's alive. We were just checking on you, boo boo. Okay, so I guess he's like, leave me alone. Okay. So I gotta leave him alone. All right. So anyway, but yeah, Mello is doing good. He has his ultrasound all clear, everything. Yeah, so he's doing good. So he's gonna be around for a long, 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 long time. Um, hey Crafty Patty. Hey Latoya, how you doing? Hey Jenny. Okay, when you embroider a heirloom um baby blanket, do you put something on all the corners? Okay, Marsha, that depends on the customer and also the designs that you want to make. I have seen when people embroider there's different styles. Sometimes people do all 12. The heirloom baby blankets are the ones that are quilted. Some people do a corner, some people do the center, some people do the middle, some people do the top. Some people do designs on all four corners, some people do two designs, three designs. That's all a preference of the type of designs that you want to offer people, and also what people want. Okay. I just like to do one, okay, because that way it's nice, simple, and that's it. But I have had customers that have asked for more than one design on them, which I'm fine with, and I just charge accordingly. And then I also have had, if it also depends on if you're doing like a family heirloom blanket, like I did. I did a family heirloom blanket where I embroidered all the way from the top to the bottom of the blanket. That's all a preference of the type of style that you want to offer. Okay. Let me see. Hey, Latoya, how you doing? Oh yeah. Please give me that thumbs up. Please give me that thumbs up. Um, Hey Karen, oh, I'm glad that you like today's topic because I hope you guys, I don't see you guys putting anything on the chat. So I'm assuming you guys are okay with the information that I gave you guys with pricing. If you aren't, put it out there so that I can help you guys. Hey Denise, how you doing? Let's see. Hey Sassy, trying to cook supper and watch the show at the same time. Different rooms, not easy. You got this, Sassy. You can do it. You are you can multitask. Can you hold up your so that we can take a screenshot? No, I do not recommend doing that, Marsha. I recommend that you take a sheet, and what you're doing is you're going to write down all the stuff that I mentioned, and you got to put your own pricing in there because my pricing is not the same as yours. Okay. So, like I mentioned, and I'll run this down again to help you, Marsha, a little bit. And for anybody else out there that let me put your comment in there because it is a good comment, Marsha. It's not, I don't want you to think that it's not. It is a good comment. My thing is that you have to this is the thing. The pricing for embroidery is very custom, okay? The price that I might charge does not necessarily mean that it could be a price that you should charge because it depends where you live and the cost of living in your area. Okay. The other thing also is the prices that I've paid for some of my supplies may not be the same prices that you pay. Okay. Like an example, let's say stabilizers. Okay. If I bought a pack of cutaway stabilizer, I may have paid $10.99 for a pack of stabilizer, and you probably paid $15.99 for your pack stabilizer. So your cost per sheet is going to be different than mine because I didn't pay the same price as you. Okay. This is the other thing also. I get a special type of pricing for some of my items because I have a business license, and I also don't get charged sales tax when I buy supplies. Okay. So my pricing is going to be different. All right. But you know what? To help you out a little bit, this is how I would do it. Okay. So, I'm going to read it from down these little sections so that you guys know exactly how to do it. Okay. So on the top, I would do embroidery price sheet. Okay. Then do a section called digitizing. All right. And in there is where you want to write down how much did it cost for you to actually get a logo digitized. Now, remember, not all the files that you get digitized are going to cost the same. Sometimes it'll be $10, sometimes it could be $15 because it depends on the size, and it can also depend on the complexity of what you're trying to get digitized. Okay. So you'll want to have a section in there that says digitizing. And that's where you're going to calculate how much it's going to cost for digitizing. Okay. Now, the next section that I have on my sheet is called stabilizers. In there, what you want to do is you want to list all the stabilizers that you have in your shop. Okay. Your cutaway, your tearaway, any type of sticky stabilizer, any type of topper that you use, tender touch. So what you're going to do there is you're going to write down how much you spent for a pack of each of those stabilizers, and then you're going to calculate how much it's going to cost to use one sheet per each of those different stabilizers. That way, when you go ahead and you are working on a project and you pull two sheets out, you know exactly how much you spent in that actual product. Okay. The next section that I have down here, okay, and I'm so glad you asked this, Marsha, because I'm sure a lot of people probably were like, oh, because I did talk a lot, but now I'm going to try to break it down to you guys to make it more simpler, okay? The next section I have, which this is the third section, remember we have digitizing, we have stabilizers, stitching. Your third section on your sheet should be stitching. This is where you're going to do couple of things. How much you're going to charge per every 1,000 stitches. There's different numbers, okay? Some people do $1, some people do $1.25, some people do $1.50, some people do $2. It's up to you how much you want to charge, okay? Color change. How much do you want to charge a customer for each color change? And that's if you want to include that in there, okay? Sometimes if you have a single needle, you may want to include that. But if you have a multi-needle, The other thing is fabric change. If you do a lot of applique, if you have a very complex applique design that the customer has, you may want to charge for the fabric that you have to buy for that. HTV, the heat transfer vinyl. If you're using heat transfer vinyl, how much do you want to charge for the use of for each of the heat vinyl transfer per design? Put a little cost in that as well. Okay. Now we're going to talk about the fourth section that I have in here. Hooping. How much do you want to charge for hooping? How much are you going to charge for shirts, jackets, hats, whatever, right? You don't have to incorporate this in the price if you don't want to, but some people do, okay? So just something to think about. The next section, your cost of the blank, okay? How much did that shirt cost? How much did that hat cost? How much did the jacket cost? How much did the hoodie cost? The sweatshirt, the hat, the scarf, whatever it is that you're embroidering on that you bought, not the customer, that you bought, because you want to make sure you recoup that money, okay? All right. Now, we're going to be talking about, this is the kind of business expenses that you may want to write down for yourself, okay? If you are selling an item online, okay, and you're going to be pricing that item to sell it online, all right, because this isn't going to be for your local sales. It's going to be for online sales. You want to make sure that you are incorporating transaction fees, your listing fees, okay, and also your shipping costs. Because a lot of times when you're selling stuff on locally, there is no shipping really involved because the customer will come to you and they'll pick it up. But if you're selling something online, chances are they're not local. They're actually going to be far away somewhere, and you're going to have to ship that item out. You want to make sure that you incorporate all your shipping costs and your shipping materials as well. So when you are talking about your shipping materials, when you buy boxes, when you're buying the bags and all that kind of stuff, you want to make sure that you know how much each of those bags are costing you and how much those boxes are costing you. How much are your shipping label costing you as well? Okay. So you make sure you put that in that little section right there. Okay. Now, the other thing is your time. Make sure you write down how much you want to get paid per hour. Okay, what is your labor rate per hour? You want to take that labor rate and you also want to cut it in half. So that way, if like, let's say you got something that you embroider for like 30 minutes, how much is your labor rate for 30 minutes? And also, how much is your labor rate every 15 minutes? So you take your hourly rate, cut it in half, that's 30 minutes, cut that in half, that's every 15 minutes. Okay? So, and this is another thing too that I did mention before, puff embroidery. Puff embroidery requires the foam, okay? So if you're doing puff embroidery for hats, those are pretty popular for hats. Sometimes they do them for shirts and sweatshirts as well. But if you're going to do puff embroidery, you want to make sure you incorporate the cost of that foam that you have to put inside your puff embroidery as well. Okay? So I hope that helps, Marsha. Just take a piece of paper, just like I did. It's just a piece of paper. The thing is, I don't want to share my cost for the simple fact they're different. Everyone's going to have a different cost, okay? But you want to, but the format can be kind of similar. Now remember, this is not a sheet for you to go and give to your customer. This is a sheet so that you can use this to help you decide on how to price your item. That's what this is for. Okay. It's not so that you can go and just give it to the customer and go, well, this is how much. No, it's just so that it can help you calculate your price. So that way you can make sure that you're not under pricing the service. Okay. That's what it is. All right. And this is the thing too. And I keep saying this a lot. Embroidery is custom work. So unless you are embroidering the same thing over and over and over again to sell, perfect example of that is like when I embroider my towels. Like I'll give you an example. All right, like this is a towel. I embroider these, okay, and I sell these. I already know everything. I know how much my towel costs. I know how long it takes me to embroider this. I know how much stabilizer I use. I know everything, okay? So I already have a solid price for these items, including how much it costs for me to sell it online with fees and all that kind of stuff, shipping and everything, okay? So if you have items like this, right, where it's just standard, it's not custom, okay, it's just stuff that you make and you sell, then you can come up with your standard price, all right? But when you have customers that come to you and they're asking you to do embroidery for them, a lot of times that embroidery is really mostly custom, okay? And like I said before, even when you have two customers that come to you really asking for the same thing, sometimes it's not the same thing, okay? Because like the example I gave you guys before, if I have two ladies that come to me and say, hey, I want a name embroidered on a blanket, one could have a short name, one can have a long name. One can have a very simple, smooth fabric blanket where I don't require any knockdown stitches or anything like that. The other person can come with blanket that has very tall fibers on the top where it requires the topping and it requires knockdown stitches, and sometimes the name is long. So some, it's not going to be the same price. I can't come out and tell them both, oh, it's just going to be $20 each. No, because one is more simple and the other one requires more work. So embroidery is very, very custom. Okay. So you have to make sure that you have an idea of how you're going to price items when they come to you. Okay. So making an embroidery spreadsheet is really a best way to do that, because you'll have a more solid idea of how to do it. And then what you do is once you built your sheet out, okay, once you have it built out, I would say laminate it, and you need to renew this sheet every year too, because as you can see, prices have gone up. They've gone up like crazy on thread, on stabilizer, and all that kind of stuff. So you got to make sure you price your stuff accordingly, okay? So, but when you get the requirements, that's when you take out your sheet and then you sit down with a piece of paper and you say, okay, digitizing is going to cost this much, stabilizer is going to cost this much, the time's going to cost this. You add it all up, you sit back, you look at it, okay? And then, you can really do whatever you want, but I know what I do. What I do is I say, okay, what's fair? That's what I do. I say, what is fair? What is fair to me and what is fair to them? Okay. Because my thing is, I don't want my customers to feel like, like they're robbed, but then I don't want to feel robbed either. So my whole focus is what's fair. Okay. So this is really, to me, the best way to do it. Okay. And because you're looking at it from all perspectives, you're really, looking at all the material, you're even calculate your time and all that kind of stuff and everything, and you can make a better educated decision as to how you want to price your embroidery service. Okay. So Marsha, I hope that helped and stuff. You know, Hey Karen, take notes, everyone. Or you can rewatch this video, okay? And I'm hoping that because I think in the beginning, I maybe in the video, I kind of went all over the place and everything, but I think I explained this a little bit better this time. So Marsha, thank you so much for asking again about the sheet and everything, because yeah, this is really, really important because I don't want, it's a question I get a lot, okay, and it's a pretty tough question too to answer, because it depends on so much, right? It depends on so many things. So just want to make sure that yeah, that you guys can get a real good solid idea how to do that. um let's see. Hey Denise, how you doing? Let's see. Hey Joyce, how are you? Hey Pretty Eyes, how you doing? Hey, I'm biased. Oh, Marsha, okay, you're asking for me. Okay, well, I usually do it how the customer wants it. I when I go and I sell them online, I usually do one corner. Okay, I do a corner and stuff like that. However, though, I have had customers reach out to me and want more than one design. So a lot of times I would say do it as simple as possible. Why complicate things, right? But be flexible where if someone wants something more added to it, hey, the way I look at it is the more they want on it, the more you can charge because that's more embroidery. So, that's just how I see it. Hey Danielle, how you doing? Um, let's see. She looks at um, let's see. Deborah. Oh, I love all the Christmas gifts you've done this week. Been trying them out. Oh, thank you, Deborah. Thanks. I still have 3 more videos to do for the 12 days of Christmas, and I'm glad you asked about that because I've been getting a lot of questions about that. The way that I have created these videos is so that one video gets released every week. The last video of the 12 days of Christmas actually gets released December 12th. Okay, so every week you're going to see a new video of the series get released. Okay, I only have 3 more to videotape, and I plan on finishing it off finally this weekend. I have to do it this weekend and stuff like that. So, yeah, but yeah, I'm glad you like them. I'm trying to give you guys ideas and stuff like that. And stuff. Hey Diamond, how you doing? Oh, hey, I'm biased. Love the way you think about the pricing. Oh, thank you. Just wanted to share, I just want to share, there's so many different ways that people do pricing. Really, there is. But I just like to look at everything. And really what's important to me, okay, is like I said, I want the prices to be fair. That's how I see it for me. I want it to be fair for my customer. I want it to be fair for me, because it really sucks when you feel that you got taken advantage of. You really do. And I really hope you guys understand what I say. Never, never, never. I'm serious about that, guys. I'm really, really serious about it because I even made that mistake. I've made that mistake. And I've seen so many people make that mistake too, is when they just blurt out a price without having all the information of what the customer wants you to do. And then after you find out, you're like, I should have charged more. I mean, that is like, mm, it's bad. Okay. And stuff. Um, what is the perforated tearaway that you talked about other Fridays? Yes, Marsha, that is it. But let me double check for you. Let me double check. And you know what? I will actually put it on the camera for you guys to see. For you guys that don't know what Marsha's asking about, she's yes, and you got that right, hon. Yep, it's this. I'm gonna put it right here. There you go. See how it has, there you go. See, embroidery interfacing. This is the tearaway 360 easy stitch. Okay. Now, this is what I get from Joann's, and don't pay full price. I tell you guys right now. Wait till they go on sale. Joann's have coupons. Okay. Go to Joann, and if you're a military and you're a teacher or something like that, you get 15% discount also. Okay. So I'm telling you, this is what Miss Banks showed me, and I want you guys to see. This is why let me see if I can get this right on the camera for you guys to see. Oh boy. All right, let me see. All right, hold on. Let me tear just a little bit so you guys can see it. Oh, this was really a little bit. Okay. There you go. See? See how it's perforated? See? It makes it so easy because of those little dots, in case you guys didn't see it. See? It makes it so easy to tear. And it's a very good weight too. So this is actually my favorite. It really is. But I kind of buy Joann's out all the time. Every time it goes on sale, I rush over there and I'm like, how much do you have in stock? And I get it all because this is really the favorite one that I got. I mean, I use other tearaway, but I really like this one. I fell in love with this one because of the way that it's perforated. It makes it so easy for you to rip. It really does. But that's the one. Yes, Marsha, that's the one. Okay. Hey Ozzy, how are you? Let's see. There you go. Ozzy says I sell mostly out of my massage studio. My price per t-shirt is $29. And I hope though, Ozzy, that is $29 is not just the price. I mean, if you have a standard shirt, kind of like similar, like a standard kitchen towels that I sell and stuff, you have your price, you already know how much it is. But do keep in mind that when folks ask for custom work, sometimes, I always say custom work is a custom price. Okay. You want to make sure that you price your items accordingly. Okay. Do you add tax and shipping for the stabilizer before dialing the number? No, I don't. I don't, because I don't pay taxes when I buy my stabilizer because I have a wholesale license, but I have a business license. So I actually am tax exempt when I buy a lot of my items and stuff. But Denise, if you pay taxes and stuff and shipping and everything, I would, when you create your sheet, yes. If you pay for it, if the tax came out of your pocket and the shipping came out of your pocket, that's part of your cost. So that total amount, you take that and you divide it by the number of stabilizer sheets that you have in there. Because yes, that gives you the true cost. See, I don't pay the taxes, but if I do pay the shipping, I do add it on there. So yes, thank you for pointing that out. Excellent question. Let me see. Ozzy says, there you go. Ozzy says, I tell out of town clients that I will complete the shipping, yet they send the payment for it. Oh, okay. Yeah, I usually what I'll do is I'll put free shipping on my items, but I already kind of incorporated the cost of the shipping inside the price of the item. You know what I'm saying? So that I don't lose the money. They pay for it, but they just didn't know it. They think they got the free shipping. You know how it is. What do y'all buy? I have I get the apron blanks from Amazon, and you can find the link of that in the Amazon storefront that I have, Trisha. There's two kind of aprons that I prefer to buy, me personally. I like the the aprons that have the pockets in the front. I once bought aprons and they didn't have the pocket, and I'm kind of like, I shouldn't have bought those. But I like the ones with the pocket in the front and stuff. But I do have a link in my Amazon storefront of the ones that I buy with the pockets, So yeah. Um and Ozzy says, I tell you that my local clients prefer to come to my studio and pick up their shirts in person. Yep, all my local, and I have gotten some customers that live by me that actually purchase from my Etsy shop, and sometimes they ask for local delivery. I actually prefer the local delivery too, because I don't mind getting in my car and driving out there and giving it to them, because the thing is it's cheaper than paying for the shipping and handling. And I drive electric anyway, so it doesn't cost me anything in gas. So, but yeah, I kind of, they kind of like the local stuff. A lot of folks like to come and pick them up, and I kind of like it when they come and pick it up too. Anyway, so yeah. But anyway. Hey, Miss Parker, how are you? Um Oh, yeah. You can get, yep, blank Bella canvas are around 552, which is pretty good. Yep, and you do. You can make good money. But you know what happens though, Ozzy, so that with sometimes with some of my customers, and this is me. This is just me. I actually prefer that the customers go and buy their own shirts, okay? And I'm going to tell you why. Because some of the folks that I embroider for are usually golfers, or some are business owners, and they're looking for shirts for their businesses. And the thing is, they're not just looking for t-shirts, they're looking for polo shirts and all that kind of stuff. And I prefer that they actually buy it, because when they're buying stuff in bulk, they can worry about the different sizes that they need. And at the same time, they went and they looked at the shirt, because sometimes shirts have different textures, right? Sometimes some are rough, some are soft, some are fitted, some are loose. And sometimes customers can get kind of picky when it comes to their shirts and their polo shirts and all that stuff. And I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with, oh well, I knew it was red, but I didn't think it was that red, or oh, I don't like the way the shirt fits or anything like that. I'm like, ooh, I don't want to get into that. So you go get your shirt, as long as you can tell me where you got the shirt from, so that I can replace it if something goes wrong, then I'm good. And then they can buy the shirt. They paid for the shirt. I don't even have to worry about incorporating the cost of the shirt in my service. Okay. All I have to do is focus on pricing the embroidery service. That's it. So they come, they bring me all the shirts and everything. I embroider them, package them up nicely, and then they can come pick them up. I don't like to get into the actual blank business. Okay. I really don't. It's sometimes when people don't know like what kind of shirts they want, I will just give them the link of certain shirt wholesale companies, or I'll tell them go to Target or go to Walmart, or Macy's, or wherever, and get your shirts. As long as you can tell me where you got the shirt from, then I'm fine. And sometimes I'll just give them the link to jiffyshirts.com, and I'll say, here, try jiffyshirts.com. They're really good with returns and all that kind of stuff. You can go through their catalog online, and you can pick. They got hundreds of polo shirts with different types of materials, different fits and everything. Order like one of each or whatever, and then see which one you like, and then that's the one that you buy, and then just return the rest, because I just don't want to deal with the different sizes and all that kind of stuff, because some folks can be very, very picky, and I could just see like me be like, just pick a shirt already, just pick a shirt, any shirt, I can just see it, I'll lose it. So I'm like, I just want to keep things simple, and I got a lot of customers. So the thing is, I don't have time to be going back and forth too much. Okay. I'd rather go back and forth over the embroidery. I want to focus on the embroidery. Okay. So to me, I just tell them, don't do a shirt that's too thin. I like to look at the fabric and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes I'll help them pick a shirt, okay, and I'll try to pick something that I know is of good material, because depending on the design also that the customer wants, if they want a very dense design and stuff like that, you don't want a shirt that's so thin that a dense design is really going to look bad on the shirt, right? So, you already have an idea of the type of design that they want, so you kind of know what kind of fabric they should be looking at, and then you could just help guide them. And I just prefer they pick it out, and then they bring it to me, and then I just deal with it. That's how I usually do it. um let's see. Oh, Bella Canvas is a brand of shirt, Marcia. Um, okay, this is a good question. Okay. Hey Karen. All right, cost of design and software. I don't include the cost of the software in the prices of the embroidery. What I do is I incorporate the cost of the digitizing of a design. The reason why, to me, the cost of software is something for you, okay? And if it's to design the name and all that kind of stuff, I don't pass that cost on to the customer. It's just the digitizing. All right. Now, one thing that you got me thinking though, do I actually charge, like, let's say a customer comes to me and says, "Hey Jeanette, I just want the name Jeanette on a blanket." Do I actually charge them for me to create the name Jeanette on the blanket? No, I usually don't do that. I usually, because to me that's simple. It's just pick a font. So what I usually do is I'll do I'll type out the person's name using different fonts. I do a screenshot, and then I just tell the customer, pick a font, because to me that's like so simple to do. It's just typing up the person's name and stuff. So to me it's like, I'm not going to charge for that. I will charge for the embroidery, and I will charge for and knockdown stitches and stuff like that. But to actually, just type out the name and stuff like that, not really. Now, designs like embroidery files, like if they want me to do embroidery files and stuff like that, if it's an embroidery file that I can see myself reusing to make other sales, I usually will eat up that cost. That's a business expense for me. I don't pass that on to the customer, for the simple fact that, after I buy that embroidery file, okay, that embroidery file doesn't really belong to the customer. It's just a new design that I purchased. And I can go ahead and use that design to create other items and sell them. So, if it's a really nice design, I'm like, "Oh, okay." I mean, and if you really think about it, some embroidery designs are really, they're not very expensive. We're probably talking about $2 or $3, right? And it's a file that you could reuse. So, to me, that's, I don't really add that in there, Karen. It's just something to think about, and stuff. Let's see. Let's see if anyone else have questions. Let me see. Marlene, still are the beneficiaries of what I stitched out. Marlena, okay. All right. Marlena says she still lacks that confidence. Okay. And she's okay. You know what? We all started like that. Okay. We all were embroidering for family and friends and stuff like that. And you know what? Keep doing what you're doing. All right. And because to me, that's the best way to practice. So, in the beginning, I did the same thing. All I was doing was embroidery and giving them out as gifts. Right. So as you get better and better and better, believe me, you're going to, and your confidence will build. And before you know it, you're going to be golden. You're going to be golden. Okay. You're going to be like me. You're going to be like, this is how much it is. Take it or leave it. Take it or leave it. That's what you're going to do. Okay, let's see. I am going down to make sure that it answered any questions. What speed do you run? Okay, Ron asked you, what speed do I run? Okay, it depends on what I am embroidering. Okay, If sometimes, all right, if I have um small fonts, okay, if I am embroidering a logo and it has small fonts and I'm using 60 weight thread with a 65 9 size needle, a lot of times I will slow down that machine. Now, the reason why I slow it down is because when you are embroidering small fonts, it's very detailed. And when things are very detailed, you do not want to be skipping any of your stitches. You don't want your thread to be breaking or anything like that. So I find that going slow gives you a much finer, cleaner embroidery. So, when I do small fonts, I always slow it down. There have been times too where I have certain designs where there's a lot of small details in the design. I will slow down the machine as it embroiders those small little details. And then if there's other areas where, it's not very detailed, or it's like very filled, then I will speed it back up. But it depends. It depends on your design and stuff. You know, I don't know how else to answer it and stuff, because it really depends. And it also depends on the material, Rhonda, also, okay? If you have something that can pucker, right? If you have like satin, right? If you're embroidering on satin, you may want to slow down that machine. If you there's just you kind of know. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Oh my god. You kind of know if you're embroidering something that has very small details in it. When it's embroidering those small details, that's when you want to slow down the machine. And also, when you are embroidering certain things that have small detail, you may not want to use 40 weight thread. Okay, you're going to want to use 60 weight thread. And I have a couple of videos on the channel where I actually show you the difference between a 40 and a 60 weight. I even have one where I talked about a logo that I worked on for the Dominion Valleys Club, where I talk about the 60 weight versus the 40 weight thread with the 7511 size needle versus the 65-9 needle. Okay. That was a perfect example of a piece of embroidery where you embroider it, and sometimes you have to use different types of weight threads in a design with different size needles and different speeds. That's a perfect one. Okay, so I hope that helps a little bit and stuff. Hey, Miss D, how are you? um Hey, Walk by Faith, how you doing? Hey, Evelyn. um let's see. Okay. Marcia says she has 3 pages of notes. Okay. Overhead needs to be added to the customer cost. It's a tricky calculation to come up with. You only hurt yourself if you don't include it. What is overhead? Everything, not the product. Absolutely, Denise. Yes. And that is, like I was mentioning before, I'm with Denise on that. It is stuff that you got to think about. It really is. It's like the electricity, the space, and it is kind of hard to do that because you're advertising, the actual machine itself, operating the machine and everything, wear and tear and all that kind of stuff. But you have to kind of think about it. And she's right. It is tricky. It is tricky to incorporate those costs because sometimes you're like, oh God, well, how much electricity am I using and all that kind of stuff. But you kind of, as time goes on, um, you know, and you think about it when you do your taxes and all that stuff, you get to write all that off too. And I know there is a formula that my tax accountant uses. I have a good friend of mine, and he's a tax attorney, and he looks at my stuff at the end of the year, and he does all the calculations and everything for me and stuff. And I know there's a formula that he uses and stuff. But yeah, it is tricky. She is right. Denise is absolutely right. You have to think about that stuff too, because that's money coming out of your pocket. Okay. That is money coming out of your pocket. That's why I really stress that the last thing you want to do is shortchange yourself. You don't want to do that because you're shortchanging yourself in so many different ways. And if you do that, you're really going to lose out. You really do. So thanks, Denise, for bringing that up, because that's really, really important. Uh-oh, Jenny says she's got to rewatch it over and over again because it's over her head. Jenny, you will get it. You will get it. Just when you rewatch it, just go piece by piece, and it'll come to you. It'll come to you. Embroidery can be pretty tricky. I'm telling you, embroidery can be very, very tricky because this is very custom work. It is custom, and there's just so many pieces that is involved in the process. And because there's so many different things that you have to think about when you're actually doing embroidery, that's why it is very tricky to actually price it. It really is. And it's a very common question. You see it in so many Facebook groups. You see it all over the place where people are saying, how much would you charge for this? And a lot of times, it kind of, you know, I look at that and I'm like, when I see people ask, I'm like, because what goes to my mind is, you're going to get so many different answers from so many different people because everyone has their own way of pricing everything. So you just have to look at everything that's involved in the process. And then you have to really determine what is the best method that works for you. Okay. Because the last thing you want to do is to, like I said, you don't want to undercut yourself. And at the same time, you don't want to overprice so bad that when you price so high, before you know it, you're like, the customer's going to look at you, they're going to be like, oh, she's just way too expensive, way over her head, and you want to be fair. You want to be fair, but at the same time, you don't want to cut yourself short. Okay, so it's really important. Oh, thanks, Jenny. If you ordered the napkins through my storefront, then yeah, I'll get credit for it and stuff. But I appreciate that. Um, hey Nana, how you doing? Um, the template is not. I'm not gonna place the template online because I've already described the different sections, Nana. So it's just you just create your spreadsheet with your sections and plug in your numbers, okay, and stuff, and you should be good. Let's see. Let's see. What is the money range for okay? Okay, this is another good question. Okay, Trisha said, what is the range for like a rush order fee? Okay, it could really be whatever you want it to be, honestly. Okay, some people will go ahead and say, hey, I'm charging $25. Some people say $30. Some people say it's an extra $5, $10. Um, the only time that I will charge a rush fee, and if I do charge it, I usually charge it like $20. I don't, like I said, I don't. My thing is that I don't want people broke. Okay, yeah, my thing is not to make people broke. All right. However, though, the only time I will really incorporate that rush fee is if I am super loaded with orders and I have to stay up to actually fulfill that order. Okay, just so that you can meet your deadline. All right, because to me that means that I losing sleep, whatever, right? So it's a huge inconvenience. I kind of look at that as an inconvenience fee, because you're really inconveniencing me because you're rushing me. You're putting me you're stressing me out. So but it can be whatever it is that you want. I've seen people different ranges. I've seen it go from as low as $5 to as high to even $35. Okay. You have to determine, what do you think the customer will pay, you know. Hey Marga, hey Anna, hey Jackie, Shirley, Irene. Oh Sylvia, you're welcome. We're really trying to observe your points. Thank Karen. I hope this is helping. see. Okay, here's another question. Oh, did I add it? Okay. From Secret Wound, shouldn't you add a charge for your expertise? A newbie may take longer and take more time, whereas an expert may take less time and they shouldn't necessarily be charging less for their time. It depends on how much you want to charge per hour for your labor. Okay. That depends totally on you. And that's more, I consider that sacred wisdom as a labor fee, right? Now, and this is the other thing too. A newbie, okay, this is the other thing too. All right. And I don't mean to hurt anyone's feelings. Okay. Don't get me wrong, because we all started somewhere. Okay. All right. But something that you guys need to think about. Okay. Now, newbies, when you're new in embroidery, okay, you really need to know what you're doing if you're going to start selling. And this is just something that I want to tell you guys as a precaution. When you do embroidery, okay, your product is going to represent you when it walks out that door. So, with that being said, if you are new, what you need to do is make sure that you are mastering the craft. I can look at my first embroidery designs where I thought it was good, but now I look at them and I'm like, oh my God. Okay. So, with that being said, make sure you price yourself right. And if you are new, make sure you let your customers know that this is just something that you just started doing. Okay. And you may not want to price your stuff too high either, because it's when you are really good at what you're doing that's when you're like your confidence. It's like I've been doing this for a couple of years now. Okay, I know I'm good. All right. I don't mean to sound conceited or anything like that, but I do. My stuff has to be top notch. It has to be top notch. Okay, and that's why I price the way I price. Okay, but when you are new, what ends up happening is, when folks are starting out, the things that I hear a lot common is, sometimes they're afraid of the machine. um when you're embroidering, there's going to be times when your machine's going to act up. Okay, there's going to be times when you might have issues with tension, you might have issues with nesting, you might have issues with needle breaks and all that kind of stuff. Knowing how to deal with all those situations is something that comes with experience and time. Okay, so one of the things that I caution people in the very, very beginning is, you may want to really practice for a while, at least I would say maybe 6 months to a year, to really master embroidery, so that when certain situations happen, you know how to handle them. Okay, especially if you're dealing with other people's blanks, it can get very, very expensive. Okay, I have embroidered on shirts that were like $100 or $200 a pop. Okay, I did a designer bag that was $500 for that one bag. Okay, and I can embroider on those things with confidence. Right, if you're new and you take that $500 bag and you stick it in that machine and it doesn't, you mess it up, you're gonna be replacing a $500 bag. That's not a good thing. Okay, you don't want to do that. Or like some of the folks that golf and they bring the shirts to me. I mean, I have embroidered on $200 to $250 polo shirts. And sometimes I have to be honest with you. I look at those shirts. I mean, they're good material. Let me tell you, they are good material. I think it's the one where it's like really cool because I guess they're out in the sun a lot. I mean, beautiful, beautiful shirts. But I mean, I you guys know I'm very frugal, okay? So it's like I buy my shirts from Kohl's with a coupon, and if I see a shirt more than like 24.99, I'm like, ooh, that's too much money. So, but some of these folks, man, they will spend a pretty penny for that shirt. But just something to think about though when you're new. And I don't mean to scare anybody or anything, because it comes with time. It comes with time. But I totally understand what sacred wisdom is saying. When someone is new, it's gonna take them longer. Okay. But you just think about it. Think of how much you want to charge and stuff like that. But to me, at the end, it has to be good quality work, because remember, when you are done doing that embroidery, and you collect that money from the customer, that customer walks out with that embroidery, and they're wearing that embroidery and stuff like that, and they're showing it off and all that kind of stuff. That embroidery is going to talk about you. It's representing you, and you want to make sure that you're being represented right. Okay. You do not want anything out there shabby. That's all I'm saying. Just something to think about. Um, oh my goodness, Karen. I can't tell you how many times I've been sorry I've given the price for something right away. I'll try to remember. Yep, just don't. I can't. I'm telling you, don't do it. I'm telling you. And I've done it too. I've done it too in the beginning. Because the thing is, it's a very difficult thing to do, because we're talking about very custom work. And sometimes you're like, God, how am I going to price this? But as time goes on and you become more experienced, you eventually do end up getting sharper and smarter in knowing how you got to price things, and you become more confident, where you're not going to allow not even anybody to try to what you call negotiate. I don't negotiate prices, period. I just don't do it. Okay. It's just not, no, I don't do that. I just don't do it. It's like you're wasting your time. I mean, you can give me whatever price you want to pay for it. I'm telling you what you're gonna pay for it if you're gonna get that service from me. That's all I say. It's like whatever. And if you get mad, then okay, you can get mad. But yeah. Hey, Miss Shirley, how you doing? Um, yeah, but do not right away, don't give that price. Always, always, always think about it. Take your time. Okay. Hey Debbie. Let's see. Looking to see if there's any more. Oh, there you go. Marsha got her stabilizer. Yeah, that is a stable. I love that stabilizer. It is really, really, it's great. Um, yeah, Karen, you'll love that stabilizer. Let me see. Stabilizers now. Oh, everybody's talking about that stabilizer. 50% off. Hey, crafty Puerto Rican. Oh, good. I just found out that Maryland does not issue a wholesale license. Oh, Jenny, I'll call you. I'll call you. Okay. Um, Let me see. Miss Shirley, what did you put? Are you charged taxes at the end? Yes, I do. I do charge sales tax. No. Okay. You don't consider that when making your price. Okay. Miss Shirley's question is good. All right. First of all, sales tax is determined by your state. Okay. It has nothing to do with your price. Okay. I live in the state of Virginia. So I go ahead and I determine my price of how much it's going to cost. When I invoice my folks, okay, the local sales, I don't have to do this on Etsy, because Etsy goes ahead and creates the sales price for your customers. And it also gives the customer, the money that it collects for sales, it gives it to the state. Okay. So when I have my local customers come here, And let's say a lady comes with a blanket. I have to do knockdown stitches and all that kind of stuff and everything. It's $45 for me to embroider the name on your blanket because it has knockdown stitches. You want them big, I use topping, whatever, right? So what ends up happening is I will create my invoice in QuickBooks, and QuickBooks will calculate the sales tax for the state of Virginia for that sale. So what then I do is I send the invoice over to the customer. The customer pays that invoice, which includes the sales tax. Okay. And then I go ahead and I create the product. Okay. Then what ends up happening, okay, is at the 20th of every month at the state of Virginia, if you have a business, okay, and you are, you're making sales and everything, I have to go into the Virginia business website, and I have to log in with my business tax ID, and I have to put down how many local sales I had, and I have to, all that sales tax that I collected from all these customers, I then have to send them the money. That's how you do that. So sales tax is not part of the price that you are creating for your services. Okay, that's separate. All right. So first you create the sales price for the service that you're providing. And then when you invoice it, you add the sales tax. Now that sales tax has nothing really to do with you. Okay. It has to do with the state that you're in. And all you're doing is you're collecting that money from the customer so that on a monthly basis, you turn around, you take that money and you give it back to the state. I hope that answers it. But that's how you do that. Because I do have the business license here in the state of Virginia. So on a monthly basis, I have to go in and register all my local sales and then submit the money that I collected from sales tax. Okay. And because I charge sales tax, I also have that tax ID. And then what I have to do is I have to fill out a form for every vendor that I buy products from. And when I buy my products, like let's say if I buy blanks, like if I buy my thread, I buy stabilizer. If I buy hats or shirts or anything else, they don't charge me sales tax. Okay, because I have a business tax ID, and those are items that I'm buying for my business. Okay, the sales tax is usually paid by the end user, which is the customer that I sell to. Okay. Denise is also mentioning some other overhead costs. Yep, the embroidery machine, electricity, rental of your business space. Yeah, and I don't have rental business space, but I do write off this room on my taxes and stuff. Your business operational costs, office supplies, all those things should also be covered. Absolutely. Those are other stuff that you have to think about when you are thinking about pricing your items as well. Okay, because you remember this is money that's coming out of your pocket, you're trying to recoup it. So she's absolutely right. Let's see. And yeah, I guess Crafty Puerto Rican Jenny feels the same way. I always encourage customers to order their own shirts. I don't deal with sizing and color issues. And I also don't have to keep an inventory in my own shop. I'm telling you, there is a benefit to doing this. I'm not into the blank business. The only time that I get blanks in my house is for my kitchen towels, the baby blankets. And that's it. Okay. That is it. I don't like having a whole bunch of stuff around. I just like to embroider the items, and I'm with her. It's like if they, customers will come to me with their items, as long as I know where they got them from and how I can replace them, I'm good. I am good. I have no problem doing that and stuff. Hey Charlene, how you doing? Um, hey Jackie. Click on the iPad. Let me see. Okay. All right. Okay, here's another one. Okay, Trisha. Since the digitized file is added to the customer, do you give that digitized file to the customer? If they want it, if they want, they can't do anything with it unless they have an embroidery machine, okay? But I don't have a problem with it. If they paid for the file up front and they want it, I don't have a problem because what am I gonna do with it? Just give it to them if that's what they want, you know, and stuff. I mean, they paid for it. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing off you. Nothing off you. Okay. So you can. I don't unless they ask. But a lot of times my customers don't want it because this is the thing. They have to have an embroidery machine in order to read it. Right? So what are they going to do with it? It's not a Word document. It's not an Excel spreadsheet or anything. It's an embroidery file. So if you don't have the machine, they can't do nothing with it. Now, what they could do is, let's say they prefer to use another embroiderer to do it. If they pay for that file, it's their file, right? And especially if it's a logo, their company logo, what you going to do with that file? I mean, you can't do nothing with it. It's their file. It's their design, right? And they paid for it. You got your money back, so why keep it? That's how I look at it, Trisha. You know. Let's see. Let's see. Hey Robin. Okay, Jenny's asking about the fonts. Okay, I have not the machine does have fonts loaded on the actual machine that you can use. I have not downloaded it and put it in Brilliance. I don't think there is a way you can do that. Okay. I think you have to use the actual fonts on the machine. Okay. I usually do. I will tell you this though, Jenny. You know, oh my goodness, you're scratching yourself. Okay. Well, I will tell you this though, Jenny. A lot of times, even though the machine has those fonts in there, I usually buy all my fonts and I buy them in BX format and I use them in Brilliance and I always use those fonts. Okay. Very, very, I think I may have used the fonts that were preloaded on the machine, like maybe like once or twice. I don't even think I used them a lot at all. Okay. But I usually just buy the fonts and I just, I buy the BX format and I install it in Brilliance and I just whatever wording I need, I just create it in Brilliance and I just take it over to the machine, but I've never used it and I don't even know if there's a way you can download it. You could probably create it on the screen and then you can save whatever you created on the screen. That's what I'm thinking now. Now that you're asking about it, I'm thinking about. You can go on the machine. You can probably type in whatever it is using their fonts, and then you can probably save it on a USB, and then take it over to Brilliance and open it. I think you can. I think you can. It's probably a possibility. And you know what? I'll probably do a video trying that out and then we'll see what happens. Let's see. Because that would be really interesting to see if we could do that. Okay. Because there are some really nice designs on this machine. And now that I think about it, at first I'm ready to tell you, no, you can't do that. But now I'm starting to think about it and I'm thinking, you know what? We might be able to work on that a little bit. I mean, I do know that it is in a PHX format, like you said, but I have a feeling you should be able to open that in the browser. Let's do a video on that. I'm going to do a video on that this week, and I'm going to write that down. And let's play around with that, and let's see what the outcome would be. That would be fun. I mean, I would be excited to see what that would happen. Okay, so I'm going to see, and let's do that, Jenny, because I think that's going to be something fun to do. I could probably. I could see that might be able to work. Now I'm curious. Hey Angela, Mello is doing fine. He had his ultrasound and they found nothing in him. They thought maybe he would have something in his I think it's prostate or something like that, but he is clear. They found nothing, 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 because they took some x-rays and they found something, and he was having a little upset stomach, but no, he's 100% healthy. So yes, thank you for asking though. Appreciate it. Let's see. Yes, the Marsha is correct. Yes, the overhead. Well, for the space, Marsha, there is a formula about the percentage, the square footage of the space that you use in your home that you write off on your taxes. Like for this room, there is a formula, and I know that this room that I have here does get written off in our taxes, because this is actually the embroidery room. No, there's nothing else that happens in this room but all the sewing and processing of orders and everything like that. But yeah, the square footage does get written off on your taxes though. I don't put that on the prices of my items. Um and stuff. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Karen. Yes, the gift exchange. Yes, okay. Thank you. All right, guys. All right, I believe we have about 57 people that are registered in the gift exchange. Okay. The last day for the gift exchange, I believe, is the 27th of this month. So you guys still have plenty of time to sign up. Okay. Now, there has been a couple of people that I had to remove from the list. So we had more than that. I wanted to go over as to you know, what if you got removed, why, okay, and stuff, all right? You have to be part of the Facebook group, okay? Embroidery Happy Hour Adventures, all right? Make sure that your Facebook account, the name on your Facebook account, matches the name that you're registering in the a gift exchange. If I can't match your name or even closely match it, figure out who you are in the Facebook group, I'm going to take you out. Okay, because this is only for people that are part of the Facebook group, okay, that can participate in the exchange. All right. The other thing also is, when you register in the exchange, I got a couple of people that put their name, but they never added their address or anything like that. Okay. You got to have an address. The simple reason is, if you don't have an address, then no one's going to know where they're going to send the gift to. Okay. So I had to remove that as well. I tried to send you an email message to let you know why you got removed. Now, I'm not removing you because you can't join. I'm not saying that. You can still join. You just have to re-register and make sure you register correctly, so that way all the information is in there right. Okay. Now, if you have a Facebook account that is less than 2 years old, I am not, first of all, I don't allow any accounts that are less than 2 years old to be part of the Facebook group at all. There's a lot of scammers out there. Okay. So I am trying to keep our group as clean as possible in Facebook. All right. Now, I'm not interested in getting like a whole million people in the Facebook group. It'd be great if I could do that, but I'm really focused on making sure that I create a group that is healthy, okay, that everyone helps each other. I don't want to see any rudeness in there. I see the rudeness, I have no problem kicking people out. My thing is all about being, being a quality group. I don't like all those spams or anything like that, okay? So thank you so much, Karen, for reminding me. Yes, because I did want to mention that about the gift exchange. The gift exchange also, I mean, it's for everyone that's part of the Facebook group. If they want to join, they're welcome to join. It's a lot of people ask me about the $20. That's just, try not to spend more than $20 in materials of making the gift. That's all I'm saying, I want to make it as affordable for everybody, but you can do whatever you want, okay? Because you're making something very unique and special for another crafter, okay? So, I just wanted to just put like a little dollar amount, so that way, if you could spend less if you want and stuff. It's all about making something for someone else, okay? That's what that's all about. So, um yeah, but thank you, Karen, for reminding me. I wanted to mention that. So if you had registered, um and if you're not sure if you're registered, okay, put a little note on the Facebook group and say, hey, I registered, please confirm. I can go in there, I'll make sure that you're in there. I've already confirmed some of the folks to let them know that they are part of the Facebook group. I just want to make sure that everybody is in there and everything's good, okay? Because everyone always enjoys this every year. I mean, it's my third year doing it. Everybody loves it, and I want to make sure that it's something that everyone benefits from and stuff, okay? So thank you, Karen, for reminding me. I appreciate that, because I forgot and stuff. Let's see. Sorry, no polo shirt. Marsha, I'm telling you, man. You should see some of these shirts that I get. Very expensive. I am telling you, expensive. But no, but they are nice. They're nice, but I could tell their brand name and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I had no idea that golf shirts, actual golf shirts, the polo golf shirts could be so pricey. Had no idea about that. Okay, let's see. I want to make sure that let me see. I started noticing let's see. Yep, Crafty Gems. Yep. She see, you have to collect the sales tax on your stuff, because I'm telling you, they'll come after you. Um the sales tax, okay. Well, a lot of my customers, yeah, that is true, Marsha. But the thing is, my local customers, they're all state. Okay, if they're not state, then I will create the listing on Etsy. That way Etsy can collect the sales tax and then deliver the sales tax for me and stuff. But most of my customers that are local, I have never had one that was out of state. The out of state customers that I have always order from me through Etsy. Okay, but yeah, but that's why I charge Virginia, because it's all Virginia customers and stuff. Okay, this is another one. On your invoice to customers, do you itemize? No, I do not. I do not. What I do on the invoice is I write down a description of what it is that they want, okay? And I'll say a digitized file with they want this type of embroidery. This is the color font. This is the font style. That's what I put on the invoice. I do not break it. This itemized list that I'm talking about, okay, of creating, this is for you. It's not for you to put in the invoice. What in the invoice, what I do is I write down the requirements, which is, they want embroidering on polo, they want embroidery on a blanket, they want a name, what's the name is, what type of font style, what color thread, and that's it. And then I put, this is how much it costs per item. That's how I do it. Okay. Good question. But yeah, but no, I do not put that level of detail in the invoice at all. Oh, I've had that too. It's also nice when a customer gives you a tip for your work. It tells me that really I have gotten, yes, Jenny, yeah, and that is true. And you know what's so funny is I have had a couple of customers where they picked up their item and they gave me a tip, and I'm like, oh, no, no, no. And so I don't like taking the tip, but they give it to me anyway, because they're like, no, no, no. And you're right. it does tell you that they are so pleased with the item, because I have had that too, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm like, I mean, and I've gotten some really good tips, you know. I'm just like, wow, you know. So yeah. But hey, Ozzy, oh, you're welcome, Ozzy. Appreciate it. Oh, okay. So I guess Miss Shirley had. She said you could download the designs on your machine by putting it in the B pocket of your USB, and then you can do that. Yep. Okay. So don't have to do the video. You can do it. Um, if you have the software, you can download fonts to your software and save it to DSB. Okay. Um, That's a good, yeah. You know what? I thought about that. I have that webbing. I have 1 inch webbing also, Susan. Thanks for pointing it out. She said the only time she uses the preloaded fonts is when she's making names on tapes of the 1 inch webbing. And I have a lot of 1 inch webbing because I don't know, I was making a whole bunch of key fobs and stuff like that. And that is a really good idea. You know what? I'm thinking I may end up using those fonts so I could embroider some of Mello's leashes and stuff, because I have some leashes that I want to embroider and stuff. Let's see. I'm going down because I want to make sure I cover all your questions. Um oh, where do you sign up? Okay. In the yeah, it's Debbie, the okay, the gift exchange, you have to go to the Embroidery Happy Hour Adventures Facebook group. Once you are in that group, you will see the link. Okay, I have it pinned, and you will see the link where you can go ahead and you can register to join the gift exchange. Okay. Um I'm going down. Let's see. Can't wait. Okay, I think I got everything. Good. Awesome. Okay, I think I got everybody's questions. Let me see. I'll go to the link after I accept it. Okay, awesome. Okay, cool, guys. Well, anyway, guys, it is almost 10:30. Okay, so you guys know my embroidery happy hour usually lasts more than an hour. But as always, I like to share information, and I always like to not just like blurt it out. I always like to answer all your questions and everything like that. And at the same time, I always want to make sure that I'm really clear in what I'm trying to teach you guys and the information that I share. So I hope you guys liked today's topic. I thought it was a really good one, especially when I got like, I think it was like 3 folks that came to me this whole week asking me, how should I price this, right? And the holidays are coming. So, like I said, even if you don't do embroidery to sell yet, and you're really just embroidering for friends and family, trust me, as time goes on, somebody's going to find out that you do embroidery, and they're going to ask you if you can embroider something for them. And you may not know it, but you're going to probably start a little side gig on your own. It may not be like a full-time thing, but it's going to be something. You know what I mean? So, and you want to know how you want to price your stuff right? Because you don't want to feel gypped or anything like that. So that's why I thought it was important for me to discuss this topic this Friday, especially with the holidays coming up. You know, I mean, Halloween's gonna, before you know it, Halloween's gonna be here, it's gonna be gone. Then we're gonna have Thanksgiving, then we're gonna have Christmas. And Christmas is usually the time where a lot of people start asking for a bunch of stuff and everything. And if you're gonna be selling stuff, I want to make sure you guys price the stuff right, so that way you guys don't feel any kind of way like, you know, like you got taken advantage of or anything like that. So I want to make sure that you guys have enough information so you can make really good informed decisions on how you want to price your items. Okay, so guys, as always, I had a lot of fun tonight sharing the 4114 with you guys. If you guys like today's video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing and stuff. And, you know, share the information with other folks that you think might benefit from these types of discussions and stuff. So you guys take care. Please be safe. Have fun sewing. Have fun embroidering. And do your thing. Okay. So let me see. Dun, dun. Yep. I think I got everything. Okay, cool. All right, guys. So you guys have a good night. And as always, love you all. Please take care. And I will talk to you guys next Friday. So I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.